we are very, very fortunate. We have Janet Contreras in the studio with us tonight. She's running for the District 7 council seat, which is basically South Phoenix from Thomas and 7th Avenue all the way to South Mountain and out to 107th Avenue.
Thank you so much, Dave. Well, I just want everyone to know that I married a man that migrated legally from Mexico. We raised 5 children together. It was 20 years before he decided that he would actually become a citizen, actually 30 years, 20 with me. And but
well, if you raise 5 kids, Janet, then you're more than qualified for running the city.
And my children are first generation Hispanic Americans. They're nice, conservative Hispanic youth, and they love God and country and family. They work hard. They have the same cultural ethics that came from Mexico and came from my family from Missouri. And my husband, I always said that Okies and Mexicans were almost the same, because we had the same love for God and country and hard work. But we raised these 5 kids. We both worked in a General Motors auto plant. We were blue-collar workers for many years. When the Carter gas crunch came along and it killed the auto industry, we started a vending and coffee service business. And as entrepreneurs, we really understood that, climbing the ladder out of blue-collar work into business ownership. We built it up. We ran it for 12 years, and we sold it to an investor group because we were exhausted.
I'm sure you were.
Self-employment, that 12 years felt about like 30 to me. So we sold the business. I went back to school. All my kids were grown and out of school at that point. So I went back and got a degree in computer science and came out of college 40-ish and had to start as an entry-level geek, a tech. It was ridiculous. I was with all the 18 and 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But they all kind of looked up to me because I had that well-rounded background, and I climbed to the point where I was managing the IT department. I'm sure a lot of that had to do with a lot of my tax and accounting backgrounds that I did from having the business.
Yep.
And at that point, I saw the high-tech boom in Phoenix. I came here, and I've been in love with the desert ever since.
It is a fabulous place. So, Janet, I was going through an article that came out in the Arizona Republic. Basically, I guess
they love me.
Oh, I know. Well, on the 21st, that would be last Thursday, and I was sitting here and I was kind of struck by the individual that you're running against, Mr. Michael Nowakowski. And maybe you could comment to this, because I'm not quite sure where this guy is from or what he's dreaming here, but I envision a city free of graffiti, blight, and crime, a city where there is economic opportunity, that we need to innovate and plan ahead in a smarter fashion, specifically in regard to downtown. Downtown needs to be culturally vibrant, a green space, and I guess nobody told him we live in a desert. But I know this green space is referencing Agenda 21, which, if people don't start paying attention, that's gonna be the next piece, where they're in their little hut outside the castle with all the rest of the peasants when the tax collectors come around. And most importantly, and I love this one, is easily navigable without getting into a car.
Well, I got to tell you, I love my car, and I don't have any intention of giving it up.
Well, I don't either.
Evidently he thinks that we're all going to die and go to heaven in his vision. But the problem is, again, that thing is so overloaded with buzzwords. Back in 2006, Governor Napolitano, our fearless leader of that time...
Oh, yeah, she's doing such wonderful things with the TSA now, too.
Well, she got Arizona started on this path. She issued an executive order establishing statewide goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and that that got the ball rolling. She established that climate change executive committee, and she charged them with a proposal for creating strategies to implement this, what they call a climate change action plan for Arizona. And so this is, from that point on, she started sending the edicts down to the local governments, and Phoenix being our main big city, it seemed like a good place to implement this. So she got him involved with an organization known as ICLEI, which it's an international commission for local environmental.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, it's originated out of the UN.
So, yeah, okay. So Phoenix became a member of this group called ICLEI. And ICLEI is really smart about city governments and local planning commissions, and they've done all the focus groups on all the perfect buzzwords to get the taxpayers to buy into these plans. They say beautiful things, a lot like what Mr. Nowakowski was saying in the article. Things like sustainable and community. And, they make it sound just lovely. Green spaces. But their main objective here is to stop everything that is not considered sustainable in the UN Agenda 21.
Right.
So, this all started with Janet Napolitano, Phoenix becoming a member of this group. And then what ICLEI does is they have a toolbox. And it's basically, here's your city ordinances, here's your general plan. And the whole idea is very much like move everybody into the inner city, make everybody travel on light rail or by foot, keep everything close by. And I get this picture in my mind that it reminds me of The Matrix, where people were just stacked in little pods and fed some imaginary reality, because that's what this is. It's an imaginary reality that you have some kind of life living in these little cramped quarters, not being allowed to drive a car, not being allowed to own personal property. And they gave me a list of things that they consider unsustainable. So let me ask your audience how they feel about this. These are things that are unsustainable. The current consumption habits of the affluent middle class. Well, shame on you for buying stuff.
Damn. God, I feel guilty already.
High meat consumption.
Oh, damn. I'm really in trouble now.
Okay, this one's going to kill me. Large amounts of frozen or convenience foods.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm starving now at this point. The use of fossil fuels is not sustainable. Home and workplace appliances.
Well, I guess we could have a little fire pit in the living room.
Air conditioning is not sustainable.
That knocks out the fire pit in the living room.
So I guess no one is allowed to live in the desert. And suburban housing. So these are things that they absolutely want to do away with. And we have to be aware that Phoenix has been seduced into this, and that things have changed our general plan already, changed our zoning ordinances already. We've entered into contracts. We've got these sustainable developers who, by the way, are exempt from liability under these contracts.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this is all about control, because don't think for a minute that that's not what this is about, because if you look at North Korea and the population are living without air conditioning, are stacked like cordwood, are all of those things. But the rulers, the monarchs, they're doing just fine.
Exactly.
They're doing just fine. So those of you that are driving around out there and listening, if you don't think this is important, all you have to do is look back to medieval England, and you see all the little squalid huts around the castle where the king sends out his tax collectors, and everybody except for the king and his little family are living high on the hog, except for all these peasants out there. This is what's coming if you don't pay attention, because your liberty is going to be gone. You're not going to have the ability to realize any of your dreams in this scenario that I can see. None.
they incorporated the Wildlands Project into this Agenda 21.
Oh, of course.
And they want at least 50% of the land not touched by humans. Okay?
Were we supposed to just, like, hover above it?
Well, they want to shove us all into these little tiny areas. And all around these protected conservation areas are buffer zones where humans are not allowed to go. So you can't go into the zone and you can't go near the zone.
You know, this is starting to sound more and more like the Borg, right?
But the fact is that these things are real. They're here. Phoenix is up to its neck in it. And when we asked Mayor Gordon about ICLEI, he had no idea we were even dues-paying members of it. Even our elected officials are completely unaware of what they've stepped into with this, and I use the term intentionally. They've stepped in it. I have been out to a lot of the neighborhood block watch meetings. I've talked to voters. This is the gist of my campaign has been one-on-one with voters as much as I possibly could. My volunteers are calling voters. I'm calling voters. We knocked on doors till it got just crazy hot. And made it rough to go out. But most people care about the things that are closest to them. You know, everybody has Washington on their mind an awful lot these days. But the things that affect us most closely are our children's schools, our neighborhoods, where we buy our groceries, where we do our banking.
Well, and that's why we've been saying on this show.
The roads we drive on.
That the council and the mayor are literally more powerful than the silliness you see going on the Potomac right now. Because
they have a much more direct effect on your personal happiness than you might imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, one of the things that happened with the federal stimulus, it went out to an awful lot of local governments. And what was used, the way they used the federal stimulus money, all these things that we thought were going to improve infrastructure,
right,
and take care of all of our roads and our corroding bridges, and we keep hearing how we're going to get money to do this over and over and over again because it never gets done. One of the things that, I'll just give you a small example in the city of Phoenix. We took federal stimulus dollars, and some were allotted to neighborhood services. And neighborhood services is very much involved with the partnerships of the neighborhood block watches and the HOAs with the fire department and the police department and helping these communities that are willing to help themselves, which I think is a great system.
I think that's terrific.
So we had these federal stimulus dollars allotted to this one city department, and they grew the administration of the department by 300%. And 15% of the money actually bought some flashlights and walkie-talkies and that went to neighborhood services.
That almost sounds like the United Way, where 80 cents on the dollar goes to administration and 10% actually goes to the people that need the money.
Well, these neighborhood block watches that think that their councilmen did something wonderful for them by getting them a few supplies don't realize that they stole 85% of the money that should have gone directly to the neighborhoods. Because the stimulus money that went out to prop up these local governments and make sure that they didn't have any layoffs. Any of these public unions had no layoffs while the rest of us suffered horribly.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Yep.
This particular election, we have this extremely unique opportunity that just never comes around because we have 5 council seats and the mayor's chair that are up in this election. Yep. And we need to put conservative voices that will negotiate for the taxpayer at that table.
And actually bring some fiscal responsibility back?
Absolutely.
What a novel thought that is.
But if you are a taxpayer and you feel that you have not been represented in those negotiations for city employee contracts, this is your opportunity to elect someone to sit in that chair that will negotiate for you.
Yep, and I think it's extremely important because I think quite frankly the city's upside down already and is sliding off into the abyss.
What we're looking at right now is 90% of our budget, our $3 billion budget. 90% of it is labor costs, and I'm talking about pensions and benefits and wages and. Okay, so when these 14,000 that are on the rolls right now start retiring, and 90% is costing us labor now, and we have to replace these people.
Yeah.
And where does this leave us? And nobody's looking at this and panicking and saying, we need to fix this today. Nobody's looking at it saying, we need to fix this now.
Well,
so we've got to get the politicians out of those chairs and get people in there that are going to care about the money.
You know, I'm extremely worried who's going to sit in that mayor's seat, as well as, you know, trying to get, you know, those other 5 seats that you're you know, working on to get yourself involved with the council. Because I think if we have the makeup, the proper makeup, and the wrong mayor, that's going to be difficult as well.
Well, the mayor is kind of a leadership role, but the vote of the mayor carries no more weight than any other vote on the council. What we're looking at is a budget that is in a real mess. And the reason I want to go back and redo everything from a zero base is I want to look at every department. Every department needs to justify its budget and its continued existence. I mean, why do we need it? Are there departments we could combine? Is there someone, and I look at management. I came from the Japanese auto plant in the late years of my auto worker days, and it was always management that got canned first.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they took the big salaries down before anybody else.
Well, you know, that's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up because you don't see the C-level individuals falling on their sword like you do in other countries where they literally take responsibility for the problems that the company has. What we do here is we start laying off the janitors, and then we work up our way up. And, you know, the people on the C-level, they never really get touched because, oh, my God, I mean, they can't be responsible for driving a company.
And that's exactly wrong. These rank-and-file city employees are far and wide responsible, hardworking people. They get up, they go to work every day, they do their job, they serve the public. Right. Our police and fire are honorable people. That, you know, the vast majority of them get up every day and they go out and they protect and serve. These are not where our problems are.
No. Our problems sit right down, you know, at City Hall. That's where the problems are. And I just hope that the people out there driving and listening to the show tonight, or listening at home tonight, understand how important this is to get fiscally responsible, conservative individuals on that council to where we can start turning this Titanic around and get it going in the right direction.
When I first got to Phoenix, which has been almost 10 years ago now, I came because there was a real high-tech boom going on here. And I'm an IT geek, and I wanted to be part of that. And it breaks my heart to see Phoenix in the state that it's currently in. Right. And I don't want it to turn into little California. I want to avoid that. I had a lot more freedoms when I first got to Phoenix than I have now. But Phoenix can pull out of this and be good again. But what we have to do is really support our small businesses. We have to get the liberals to let go of our government so that we can put common sense things in place again, so that we can get our money straightened out, so that we can reestablish this budget, so that we can renegotiate these city contracts, so we can get everything back on the right track and do everything with the taxpayer in mind. And I just want all of you to go to my website. It's at vote4janet.com. It's vote4janet.com. And there's a contact there. If you want to call me, there's a phone number. I do pick up the phone. You can get me on the phone.
Oh, you don't have an aide sitting there screening your calls?
And I want to hear from you. So please contact me at voteforjanet.com and give me a call. Thank you so much.